What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is Lorenzi Park. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, on Monday, Lorenzi Park was stocked with 1,300 fish. Now, how do I know this? When going to the Nevada Department of Wildlife, or the NDOW's website, when looking for the fishing stocking reports, you're going to get the old report system. They have a new system. They now use a calendar. This gets updated daily. So by clicking on the show previous, you get a list of all the stockings and all the places. So down in the video description, I'll put a link to that. Now, believe it or not, it's been almost a year since the last time I fished out here, and more than a year since the last time I did a video out here. That just means that I have no idea what flavor power baits work, what color spinners work out there. So this is a great way to kind of show you guys my process of how I find the fish out there. Alright guys, so to find a perfect spot to fish in, you can always have a look and see where the other fishermen are fishing. If they're catching something, you know that's a good spot to start. But we got out here early this morning. We were the only people out here, no other people at that point fishing, and we started fishing on this side. Now, why did I do that? It's because next to the Lorenzi Park sign, that's actually where they stock the fish in this pond. That's why I started out in this area. Now, we casted around a few inline spinners and had some power baits out there, but didn't get any fish for about an hour in this location. Now, the reason this is a good spot to start, when they stock the fish, they tend to stay together in a school. They grow up in tanks all together, so they're used to being in a school together. And then as time goes on, they start moving in circles, moving outwards. Now, this can be anything from 3 hours to 7 days before the fish move away from the spot that they're in. And of course, this is also dependent on stuff like water temperatures, whether there's any predators chasing the fish, and of course fishing pressure. Now, we had no luck on this side. We then opted to go to the second pond. This is of course called Twin Lakes. There's a little channel connecting the two ponds, so we went to the other one, and on that side we actually started to catch fish using power baits. But people have been catching fish on this side with power baits as well. I think at the moment the fish that was stocked this week are still on this side. The ones we're catching on the other side seems to be previous week's trout that moved through to that side. This just means that the actual particular spot that you are picking is not that important. The fish can be anywhere. It is best to start at the spot where they stock them and move out from there and try and find the fish. Okay, so a great way to start looking for the trout is by using some inline spinners. This is a very effective way of casting from one spot and then the next and the next, trying to see if you can get any fish to go for the little inline spinner, or watching for fish following it. That's how you figure out where the fish are. You can also look for some of the cormorants. They love chasing the little trout, or you keep an eye out for any surface activity. If you've seen some fish jump, when the waters are this cold, any fish jumping would most likely be trout. So after throwing around inline spinners for a while to see if we can find any trout, we had no luck, nothing chasing any of the baits. So we opted to go for power baits. Now with the power baits, you cast them out there, you let them sit for a while. If you get hits, you know you're in the right spot. Now we've been finding the fish in deep, close to the little oxygenators, out in deep. That's where we've been finding the fish. We're getting quite a lot of hits out there, but not able to catch any fish yet. Now, I don't know whether you'll be able to see these hooks, but these are some small hooks. These are the size of hooks we've been using with power baits, basically covering the entire hook with a power bait. The fish grabs it, and hopefully that little sharp hook point grabs onto the fish. So the problem is not getting bites, the problem is hooking the fish. So I think we're going to change out our little hooks for something a bit different. Alright guys, we got our first little fish on. Changed my tactics, swapped out hooks, first cast with the new hooks, and we land a little trout. there we go. And of course using a smaller hook, so he swallowed the hook, so we have to see how bad he swallowed it. Luckily he didn't swallow the hook, it's just in the corner of his mouth, so easy to get out. Alright guys, it's hard to get your hands wet, so use a water bottle or something, especially when releasing these fish. Don't want to damage the slime layer. Let's get him back into the water. Okay, so he's been out of the water for a while, but I just wanted to find a spot where I can do a good release on him. And there he goes. And there we go guys, another fish on. And he just popped. That's the problem with using these small hooks. If they're not properly in the mouth, it's easy for them to come out. I don't like using treble hooks because they can actually swallow the treble hooks. If that happens, you have to keep the fish. You don't want to release anything that's been gut hooked. But we're getting a couple of bites, so let's rebait, try again. These fish grab these poles so instantly. If I don't set the hook, we're going to miss the fish. But we got another little one on. Let's see if we can get this one out of the water. So this one swallowed the hook, but luckily it's not in that deep, it's just in the back of the throat. I think we can get that out safely. Alright, so these are some nice decent size stock trout, almost at our limit, so let's get this guy back into the water. Good kick from him and off he goes. This one's swimming towards me, but we do have a fish on. This will be my third little fish, so we've reached our limit for today. So let's see if we can get him out of the water. Alright, so luckily the hook popped straight out, dropping this one onto the floor, but he seems to be okay. Alright, so we reached our 3 fish limit. Gonna get this one back. Off he goes. And there we go, the wife has a nice decent little trout. Quickly gonna get him out of the water. This one also hooks on the outside of the mouth. He didn't swallow it, so no problem releasing this fish. Alright, so I think one of the bigger ones for today. Let's get him back into the water. And there he goes. Alright guys, we got out here this morning. Took something like an hour to actually find some fish. Took another hour to get quite a lot of bites out there, but not catching any fish. And then we swapped out to some small hooks and finally got my daily limit of 3 fish. So all done fishing for today. Now I would like to point out that I don't like using treble hooks. It's quite easy for the fish if they swallow the treble hook. If you gut hook them, they're not going to make it. So if you're planning on keeping any fish, no problem with the treble hooks. But for catch and release, it's sometimes a bad idea to use treble hooks. But when you're getting bites like this where you keep getting little hits or nibbles on your power baits, it does help to go to a smaller hook. And a lot of the times the smallest hooks you can get are some treble hooks. Just be aware that when using treble hooks, you might need to keep some fish. It is also not a bad idea to ask the other fishermen around what are they catching the fish on. A lot of these guys are more than willing to share with you. And of course, finding the right spots where the fish are makes it a lot easier to catch the fish out there. Alright, so this is a pretty good time to get out there and catch some stock trout. They are still willing to go for the power baits. Also starting to see some cormorants chasing them. That also changes their behavior. But it is still a lot of fun to get out here to the parks and catch some trout. Okay, but I think that's going to be it for this video. I hope you liked this little video. Feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. If you've not yet subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. It does help out the channel quite a lot. Alright guys, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.